Welcome to Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women, the podcast that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth. Here's your host, Gary Wilson.
Hello, and welcome to Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women. This is the podcast designed and developed just for you. Chiropractors, dentists, teachers, firemen, policemen, military, pilots, engineers, you name it. And the reason is this: it's the one place you can go to. In fact, it's the only place you can go to invest correctly and learn how to invest correctly. It's designed for people who are professionally minded because you're professionals in your own respective business and careers. Okay. So, in any case, before we get into a lot of details, just a little bit of a broad brushstroke here. There's going to be a whole series of podcasts. So welcome aboard. What I'll do on this particular one is I'm going to dive into the three major types of investing, which is buying rentals, flipping homes, and wholesaling. And I'll go into the pros and cons of each of those because I know you may be wondering, well, I want to invest, but I just want to find a good deal or I just want something that makes me money. Well, in the world of investing, there's a number of ways to invest. And I want you to focus on what you're most comfortable with, okay? Because you work hard for your money and you deserve to invest without any guessing and wondering and assuming and things like that. So, in any case, before we get into those details, just a little bit of some housekeeping here. First things first, real estate investing, and I'm going to kind of rattle some cages here, is not actually the end game. It's actually the beginning, okay? What I mean by that is this. Let's say you own your own chiropractic business or you own your own orthodontic practice. It looks like on paper you make money because in gross you bring in good money, but you've got a lot of expenses, a lot of overhead, a lot of upkeep, taxes, dues, salaries. My gosh, the list goes on and on. Believe me, I know I've built 7 different businesses and sold 5 of them, sold or merged 5 of them. You're learning like I did if you're an entrepreneur, and you're definitely an entrepreneur being on this podcast. You're a business owner perhaps, or you're a teacher who wants to not only supplement your income, but position yourself for retirement. You've got that entrepreneurial gene. And when you do, you recognize quickly it's fun building businesses. It's just no fun managing them. Can I get an amen on that? So you'll find a lot of people build and sell businesses. And if you have your own practice, if you're an engineer who owns your own HVAC company, for example, don't be afraid to build it up and sell it. You can start another one. You can start other businesses. But what I'm getting at is you can leverage what you're doing to generate multiple streams of income. So let's just say, for example, you do have a practice, a dental practice, your own HVAC business, or what have you. Maybe you're a teacher and you've got a 403B retirement plan. You can actually leverage your assets. In the case of the 403B, you can borrow against that, typically up to 50% sometimes. Also, if you've got a 401k, you can do the same thing. But let's just say you've got a dental practice and you built it up. You got a pretty good office going there. You got maybe a few other dentists working for you, or maybe you've got 2 or more offices. The fact is you've got an asset there, income producing asset that you can leverage to generate multiple streams of income. So for example, you can get a business loan, a business line of credit against the value of your business. Okay. You produce income. There's what's called a multiple, and bankers are very good at determining what a multiple would be for your particular industry. So let's say they determine you can get a line of credit for $100,000, okay, business line of credit. Well, what you might not realize is you can use that to buy another income producing asset, i.e. a piece of real estate, okay? Now, what I recommend is to not buy it in your own name, and definitely do not buy it in the name of your practice. You would simply set up another LLC, and we'll go into more details here in future podcasts on the right business structure and how to set up LLCs and so forth. But let's say you set up an LLC that's going to buy properties. Okay, you're ultimately going to be in control, of course, but your LLC is going to have title to the properties. Now, what you can do is you can make a business loan from your dental practice, from your chiropractic practice, to your LLC that's going to then therefore buy the properties. And that LLC, of course, will generate revenue because rents will be coming in and so forth. So what I'm getting at is you can do that a number of times. And every time you buy an asset, you build it up, you raise the value, you raise the rents, you can refinance it, pay back your business line of credit, and go out and do the same thing all over again. Okay, that's just one idea. The point is this investing in real estate ends up becoming a foundation upon which you can launch other businesses. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Investing in real estate helps you develop and create a foundation upon which you can launch other businesses or other things, foundations. You want a charitable foundation, things like that. Also, of course, it could finance a bigger lifestyle for yourself, and more importantly, my family, we've got a lot of medical folks in my family, and I can tell you, you may be worried about being stuck behind a chair, okay, for the rest of your life, and you'd like to maybe do something about that. I'll give you another example. Actually, go ahead and put your pens and pencils down and pay attention to this one, guys. Great example. And you can apply this to almost any industry where you might own your own practice. I had a client in the past, he was a dentist, and he actually came to a class I was teaching real estate agents. He was 65 years old, wanted to get his license. He wanted to get out of the dental practice. What he was going to do was try to sell the practice. Well, if you've tried to sell your practice before, you know as well as I do, it ain't that easy, all right? How many people are out there wanting to buy a dental practice? Well, exactly. Only other dentists, right? So what I encouraged him to do and coached him into doing is this. To keep his practice, hire a recent dental school graduate to start taking on appointments. So he wasn't doing the appointments. This younger person was. This freed up the doctor's time, the dentist's time, to go out there and do his own investing. But more importantly, and this is what's going to really freak some of you out, is he got his realtor's license, at my suggestion. The reason is that, well, he wasn't looking to necessarily serve these people like a realtor. That wasn't what he wanted to do. But he would go golfing with those other dentists who were in his network and represent them purchasing real estate deals. So what happened is this dentist got to earn commissions. He wasn't going out there opening up doors and pointing out the pretty carpet. He had somebody else do that for him, a showing agent. Okay, what I'm getting at is he actually built a business out of his realtor's license. A realtor's license is a license where you can generate revenue. You just don't have to do the work, okay? But more importantly, allowed him to participate in more investing himself. So he actually now had three things going on. He had his dental practice that ultimately fed him investing in real estate. He used his knowledge investing in real estate to get a license, leverage that knowledge to serve other dentists in the community to buy properties. And he did all his business on the golf course, okay? He had somebody else fill out paperwork and open up doors and stuff like that. So how many of you are getting what I just described there? Awesome strategy. Go from one business to three business. By the way, he did keep his dental practice at my urging, and eventually turn it over to the younger guys. So in any case, that's an example of what I'm talking about. Another thing it would really help you is to be in part of a community. And what I mean by that is not just like where you live, but a community of other professionals who also want to invest in real estate. Okay, and in fact, we've actually done that. Years ago, I was a banker. Just so you know a little bit about me, just briefly, I was a banker. Didn't like being in the corporate world. Started investing, got my realtor's license, started serving other investors, got out of the banking business, thank goodness, and built multiple businesses, property management, title and escrow, all these businesses surrounding the real estate business. Okay. Even started an appraisal business, and we launched actually a mortgage company too. So in any case, I had a community. What I'm getting at is this. We had a community built of like-minded individuals who mostly were professionals. Some owned their businesses, some didn't. Teachers typically don't own a business. Firemen typically don't own a business. But they were made up of the following groups. I've mentioned dentists already. I've mentioned chiropractors. I've mentioned teachers. Pilots, airline pilots, cargo pilots, military pilots, agricultural pilots. These are, by the way, I'm speaking to you now, so some of your ears are perking up as I'm mentioning your field. I mentioned firemen. How about policemen and military? Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, retired, active duty, reserves, and Coast Guardsmen too, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave out my Coast Guardsmen, one of my favorite clients, in fact, was a Coastie up in Maine. Lives up, matter of fact, lives at Old Orchard Beach, Maine. Okay, not too far from Portland. So, in any case, a community of like-minded individuals who, like you, are professional. Also, including the community, are other support industries like lending, getting money for buying properties, inspectors, appraisers. How about contractors? How about insurance people selling property insurance? How about attorneys? Um, Also, some of the government officials, housing inspectors, things like that. So, in any case, I highly recommend you be part of a community. We have one. If you go to myinvestedservices.com, you have to be a member, but you can see that there's a community out there built. You don't have to take any training programs if you don't want to. I mean, you probably should, but you can, for a small fee, be part of that community. So the community is really big. I'm going to get into the differences between wholesaling, buying rentals, and buying and flipping in a moment. Just a few more things I want to cover the basics here. One of the key things here, guys, is this: to be successful is going to require you to have cash. Okay. I know some of you right now are saying, well, holy smokes, that does me in because I don't have cash. Well, just relax. I'm going to show you how to get cash. Okay. The point is this: if you're thinking about investing in real estate, just like any commodity, okay, cash is king. In terms of business, cash is king. I'm not saying worship cash. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying in terms of business, the person with the cash is going to get the better deals. Okay. The old saying in business, the golden rule in business is, the man with the gold makes the rules, right? So what we're not talking about here is all the smoke and mirrors techniques, no money down, owner financing, all this kind of stuff. I can teach you all that, but I promise you this: if you go down that path of using those types of investing strategies, it will take you forever to build up enough substantial wealth and income to be able to retire and get out from behind a chair. Okay. The fact is if you buy better properties, I'm not talking about A properties, and we're not talking luxury properties. There's A, B, and C. We're talking about typically high C's and low B's. Okay. They're in stable areas. They have a good tenant base, usually blue collar workers, tradespeople, have steady jobs. They're serious about paying the rent. You don't have all the headaches and problems with the low end stuff. We don't advocate that, which is usually what you get when you use no money down, smoke and mirrors techniques. Okay. Starting off, I'm not saying you have to buy a property for all cash, but maybe you can put down 20%. Maybe you can do that small business loan against your practice, just enough to put a down payment on a property and get a regular bank mortgage, commercial or conventional, for the other 80% with low interest rates and better terms, because you're a good credit risk and you're putting some money down. You got skin in the game. Over time, you can start to buy bigger and bigger properties. You can also start to use more and more cash, put down a more of a down payment. Okay. Just know this: at some point, you will be on a cash basis like me. And I look for the day to see you doing that, because then you can call all the shots. I'm not saying you don't borrow. The difference is this, guys: you'll go from borrowing to buy the property to buying the property and then borrowing strategically against that asset at a later date. That's what real investors do. That's what we teach our professionals to do. And that's what I want you to do. Okay. So in any case, we covered a couple things here. Let's do this. I want to go up into talk about the three major categories of investing. All right. So category one is the most glamorous. It's flipping properties, flipping homes. It's glamorous because it's fun, and it's also glamorous because it's not only fun seeing a property go from C grade to an A grade, or basically a dog with fleas to the shining winner of the Westminster kennel contest, right? For dogs. In any case, seeing something, having that vision come real for you is a great thrill. But the other great thrill is this: cashing a check. When you flip a property and make a bundle of money, it's fun cashing that check. Okay. However, those are the upsides. There are some downsides to flipping. One of the downsides is this: is flipping is really a fun way of having a job, because you're trading time for money. You buy a product, you improve the product, you sell the product. Sounds like a business. However, it's a one and done. In other words, when you sell that property for profit, you just shot the goose that lays the golden egg. You got paid one time and you get paid no more. And you got to figure out what you're going to do with taxes, which we'll talk about in a later podcast. Okay, so benefits, it's fun. It's fun cashing big checks, and it's fun, seeing a property go to a nice family. Then you had a hand in making that property a real shining example in the neighborhood. Okay, downside again, it's a one and done. You get paid one time per transaction. Okay, now I do like flipping. I've done a lot of flipping. Flipping also is more speculative, which means there's some timing associated with it. In other words, when you're at the peak of a market, which we are right now, you might want to think twice about continuing to flip on an aggressive basis, because at some point the other shoe is going to drop. You see the market teetering right now at the top. Now, some of you have been around as long as I have, some of you not, but just look back at history. Look at 1986, 1987. You saw what happened there. All right. Look at the early 90s. Look at the early 2000s, the tech market. Look at 2007 through 2000, whatever. Seemed like the longest recession in the history of the world. I can tell you, we know it's going to happen. We just can't tell you when. Okay. The people that say like they can tell you when, I want to eat some more they're eating, because I've been doing this a lot of years, and I've had a lot of prognosticators tell us when it's going to happen, and most of them are wrong. Okay. The point is this: is when we see certain indicators, we know we're at the peak of a market and it's teetering at the top. Time to start pulling back on and flipping and start focusing on buying rentals, which is the next category. So I think we talked about flipping well enough here. Let's talk about some rentals here. I like rentals more than any other type of investing. I've done all the different types of investing you can do. The thing is with rentals is this: it is the key to long-term wealth and income. Okay, because it's a buy and hold strategy. The old saying with real estate is this: don't wait and buy and wait, which you can do in the rental income business, the rental business. So the point is this: is markets go up, markets go down, the rental business is always there. So when people ask me when's the best time to buy rentals, I say today. I don't care what today is. It could be the bottom of a recession, it could be the top of economic cycle. The point is, it's always a good time to buy rentals, and I'll explain why here. See, traditional wisdom states that when a market's down, prices are down, which is usually true. But if you break the market into segments, the owner-occupied market, the residential rental market, the industrial space market, storage market, commercial market, which could be in industrial office space, retail space, they all have market cycles. But the one that's the steadiest is this: residential real estate. Residential rentals is the steadiest, bar none. The only exception was the last recession, although it was still good. So here, I'll explain why here. Let me just give an example of what happens. Think of supply and demand. All right. When supply is down or demand is up, usually prices go up. When supply is up and demand's down, it means prices drop. Okay. Think of the last recession. All those people that were homeowners previously are now in the rental market because they lost their homes to foreclosure. Number one, they're not in the buying market; they're in the rental market. Okay. And when you start putting all those, and fewer people in generally were just not buying; they were becoming renters. Now, when you flood the market with all those renters, what does that do? What does it mean for demand? That's right. That means demand is up. And supply takes a long time to catch up in the real estate world, let me tell you. Okay. So what happened is rental rates were starting to increase. There were some exceptions, obviously, across the U.S. During the recession, but for the most part, seasoned veteran investors were waiting around because while all those no money down people were buying the cheap, junky, crappy stuff, these investors were selling all that stuff to them, get rid of it, and focusing on the bigger, better properties. Because I will tell you, over time, you will build far more wealth and income by continuing to buy bigger and bigger properties, right? Specifically residential rental. Yes, office space works great. Yes, retail works great. It also can be very painful in a down market. Okay. So in any case, that's rental market. The cons are this. Guess what? When you're in the rental market, you're in the human relations business also. Believe me, every day people get divorced, people are born, people die, people get new jobs and get transferred, people lose jobs, people get married, people get divorced. All these things happen, and when they're renting one of your units, just know this: you're not you're not you don't have front of mind presence. They're thinking of other things before they're thinking of you. Okay, so you got to deal with that stuff. Yes, you can have property management, but at some point, property manager is going to call you and say, look, what do you want to do with this situation? These people are going through divorce. The wife is insisting she's staying, blah, 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 blah. So the downside is this is um, it is not a passive business. Now, what's is ironic because the IRS calls real estate rental business a passive income business. It means you're not actively engaged in the daily activities of the property. Well, that may be true, but you are definitely going to be involved. Okay, so it's going to take some of your time, and you got to listen to all these stories about what happens to people in their lives. Okay, human relations business. Um, when people, properties also age, they get old, and you got to replace roofs and furnaces and windows and doors and carpeting and kitchens and things like that. Over time, you have capital expenditures. Okay. Um, However, just like anything else, there's always a method and a philosophy to follow, which I'll go into in a subsequent podcast. I'm going to go into details on how do you actually do the rentals, how do you actually do the flips. Okay. So, in any case, there's a third category, which is wholesaling. Wholesaling is not what it sounds like when it comes to real estate. Okay. Wholesaling in real estate means you can get something under contract to purchase, but instead of you purchasing the property, you can actually sell the contract to purchase the property. Okay, that's called an assignment. The legal term is that's an assignment. So let's say you have a property you want to sell. I'm going to make an offer to you. I'm going to get that property in a contract as if I'm going to buy it, but I'm not going to buy it. Okay, I'm going to take that contract and sell the contract to another person who's going to pay me a fee called an assignment fee to take over the contract to buy your property. So there's three parties here. Party A is you're selling. Party B is me, I'm a wholesaler. I'm a professional investor who's going to wholesale. And party C is the what we call the end user, the person who's actually going to buy the property and live in the property. All I'm going to do is get your property under contract, sell that contract to the parties. Let's say you're party A, I'm party B. Party C is going to buy the contract for me and ultimately buy your property from you. That's plain and simple wholesaling, guys. A lot more to it. I'll do that on another podcast too. Um, the bottom line is this: though, with wholesaling, uh, yes, there's upside is this: is you don't really have to have a lot of money to do wholesaling. Okay, you can simply put down earnest money deposits, hand money checks, in other words, tie a property up in the contract to buy it, turn around and sell the contract for a profit. Maybe you sell it for 5,000. Maybe you sell it for 10,000. I've seen wholesales done upwards of $50,000 per deal. Okay, it sounds great, sounds glamorous, but the problem is this: is to actually wholesale correctly is labor intensive. And if you're a professional like me and you own your own practice, you own your own business, or you're a teacher, and you've got students and stuff to deal with there, and you're a fireman and you've got a strange schedule. Um, it doesn't always work out for people like us. We don't have the time to do it. Okay. Wholesaling is for people who have no options. They have no money. They have no credit. They don't have a realtor's license. They don't have anything. Okay. That's who wholesaling is generally for. Having said that, I know people that wholesale and do quite well. I used to do wholesaling and I did quite well. But the other downside is this: is think about it. If you sell the contract, you never take possession of the property, which means you don't actually own anything, and you sell the contract, which means you also don't get any other income, like in the case of rents. Remember, you can wholesale rental properties just like you can wholesale single family homes. Okay. But the point is this: is it may be a short term solution for people who have no credit, have no cash, and they have time. The only thing they have is time. Okay. And that doesn't sound like you or me. So let's just assume wholesaling is not a good option for most of us here on this podcast. But those are the three basic kinds of investing, guys. So what I'm going to do is kind of wrap things up here, and look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. So make sure you sign up for this podcast. You can just go to iTunes, iHeart Music, things like that. You can visit our website, myinvestmentservices.com. That's myinvestmentservices.com, and all kinds of good stuff on there. Heck, we might even give you a free month on the membership on the community site. You can see what that's all about. If you like let me run that by the powers that be and see if we can do that, and I'll make that happen if we can. So in any case, also want to emphasize something is the way we invest. You and I as people who live in our communities, we're professionals, we have a business, we're firefighters, we're policemen, we're teachers, we're pilots. We care about our communities, so we invest responsibly. And one of the things I'll tell you that's really good about doing this is when you start taking properties and making them look better and raise their rents or flip them, everybody starts to take notice. And we've actually done projects where we've taken entire streets or communities, a couple houses on each street, and all the investors got together. We worked on them together, put them on the market together, and solicited the local municipality to come and put in new street lamps and sidewalks and things like that. And boy, you're talking about an amazing transformation. Just a lot of fun. We call that investing responsibly into our communities. And that's one of the hallmarks of what we do. All right, a couple more things here. I want you to think about how you can apply what you heard on this podcast to yourself. All right, how does it apply to you? Also want you to go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. If you're already listening to this, you already can see instructions on how to do that. If you have questions on joining the community, just you can contact it. You go to support@myinvestorservices.com, or just go to the website, check it out, and we'll show you how to be involved with that community if you'd like to do that. Also, future podcasts will talk about how to get the money, where to get the money, how to find the deals on flipping, how to find the deals on rentals, things like that. We'll also talk about all the members of your team. I mentioned them earlier, inspectors, appraisers, contractors, lenders, insurance brokers, attorneys. List goes on and on. Those are some of the things we'll be talking about. But I hope you like this one, and I enjoy doing this. It's a lot of fun for me. I look forward to meeting some of you in person at some point. You may decide to come to one of the events. They're all over the U.S. and Canada. Only one at a time, though. So, beginning early 2018, I will personally be down in Southern California, San Diego for a while. One quick ski trip to Breckenridge, and then back to Orange County and the greater LA area. That'll take me all the way through April. We'll likely do some events there. So for those of you who are in those areas, just keep an eye out, keep an ear out, and we'll do maybe a couple of free evening events just for professionals. Again, the folks I mentioned earlier, dentists, chiropractors, teachers, firemen, policemen, engineers, military, pilots. You're all welcome. Although evening events are always free, by the way. So keep an eye out for those. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed doing it myself. I look forward to the next time. So in the meantime, take care of yourselves. God bless you, and I'll see you on your path to prosperity. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women. Be sure to go to myinvestmentservices.com to join our community and start building wealth today.